Download the BCSN Plus app today.
All righty, we got our hands full of brackets as the girls Division I, Division II, boys divisions of 3 through 7 were all released today. Rhett Boyd, it's not as intriguing as it has been in years past, but there's still plenty of intrigue going on with these brackets.
It is, only because everything's so spread out now. So you have a lot of, in your district semis, your district finals, you have a lot of teams playing brand new teams that they don't have a lot of familiarity with. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, in girls Division I, talking about being spread out, we know that the Northwest Ohio teams have to go out east, so they are really spread out. So Whitmer does get that first round bye, so they move on to the district semifinal against the winner of Mentor Lorraine.
Yeah, Mentor's a juggernaut right now, so that's going to be a tough matchup for Whitmer. But look down there at the bottom, Brunswick and Perrysburg. Perrysburg's a little bit different right now, excuse me, to what they've been throughout the season. They got Siebenthaler back on the inside. That gives them an inside-outside partnership with Addie Byrne, and it's really helped them. They knocked off Start just a week ago, so don't sleep on Perrysburg in that Brunswick matchup.
The other Division I school from Northwest Ohio, of course, is Findlay. As we look at the Northeast 2 and 3 bracket, the Trojans, similar to Whitmer, they get that first round bye as well, as they will get the winner of Jackson and Elyria over in Worcester.
Yeah, and Jackson better be prepared for Dabney Harris, because she's someone that can put the team on her back and carry her, but Jackson's had an outstanding season all year long. So you assume if they both play their A game, Jackson's going to move on, most likely.
All right, moving on to Division II. Now, this looks a bit more familiar, Rhett. We've got 6 schools from Northwest Ohio playing against each other. Anthony Wayne Clay, that's going to be this Thursday. General's the 1 seed.
Yeah, I understand why Anthony Wayne would play that first game because you don't want too big of a gap from the end of your regular season to maybe a week, 10 days later. It could get some rust involved in there. So you play the game, stay on rhythm, what you've been doing the last couple of weeks. But what's interesting is Northview. Northview had a chance to go away from Anthony Wayne, but they decided to go into their bracket. The more you think about it, you understand why. Those two had 2 classic matchups this year, 1-possession ball games, and Northview, just the familiarity. These kids have played against each other ever since junior high on up. So you understand that. And plus with Start, what they bring to the table, not many teams can. It's high amount of physicality. And when Northview played them in earlier in the year, played Start, that showed. And as good as Northview is moving the ball offense, they couldn't get into their offense. So I understand why Northview would stay up in the bracket with Anthony Wayne. Start down there at the bottom. Looks good for the Spartans to get through. Anthony Wayne Northview, let's do round 3.
And that'll be at Lakes. We know the hospitality room in Millbury will be buzzing. So those
100%.
are the girls' brackets. Let's move on to boys now. Division III, Central Catholic, the number 1 seed. They'll take on the winner of Scott, Fremont Ross. Maumee, Salina will be the first round game. Winner goes to Wapakoneta. Southview Defiance, an interesting 4-5 matchup.
It is, and I really like TJ Gillespie. The job he's done at Maumee this year has kind of been under the radar, but they've had an outstanding season for them. But Central Catholic, all year long, they've been in battle-tested, big games, big-time moments at the end of big games. They've been seasoned all season long. I like Central Catholic getting through to be most likely probably, I think Defiance Southview is very interesting. Defiance, I think their strength of schedule has prepared them a little bit more. I think we're looking at potentially a Central Catholic Defiance matchup, but it'd be interesting to see if Southview can get there.
So one other thing to point out, and we're going to see this repeatedly through these brackets, the split district semifinal sites, Liberty Benton for the Wapakoneta, Maumee, Salina, Southview Defiance. Central Catholic, that one's going to go to Ontario. District final will be at Liberty Benton. And then when we look at D3 Northwest 2, you'll see it has been flipped as the top half will go to Ontario, either Clay, Sandusky, Woodward, Mansfield, Senior, Norwalk. Liberty Benton will have the second semifinal from this district with the championship game in Ontario. Shawnee, the 1 seed on this bracket.
Yeah, and they're really good. The Berkey brothers are the ones that knocked out Central Catholic last year. So let's see if we get that in the regional once again. But, Clay's had a great year. Sandusky, sneaky.
Yes.
They beat Perkins last week. Then Clay turned around and beat Perkins in overtime just a couple of days later. So Clay, Sandusky, very interesting matchup potentially. But that Shawnee team has played really well all year long. Expect them to get through.
Speaking of Perkins, they are the 1 seed in the Northwest 2 Division 4 district. They will get Rossford to open up the postseason.
Yeah, and Perkins, they maybe a little shell-shocked after they lost to Sandusky a week later. They lose to Clay in overtime, and they were down big at the half on Friday before, they got their second win.
They had like a 30-1 run in the second half.
So they look like they got back on schedule there, and I would think they would get through play, Ontario, and I like Perkins. I think that team, they're versatile. They got multiple guys that can score. I like Perkins in that one.
All right, looking at the Northwest 3 district in Division 4, Napoleon, the 7 seed. The Wildcats come off that nice win at Findlay over the weekend. They'll get the 1 seed Van Wert. Tough draw for the Wildcats. Then in Division 5, Northwest 1. Take a look at that bracket. You've got Genoa, of course, the 1 seed. Comets undefeated, as Genoa will get Western Reserve, and Liberty Benton Willard will be the other semifinal as we are moving along. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Northwood Liberty Center. Rangers, that's going to be a difficult matchup for the Rangers going to LC.
Yeah, I mean, look, LC we just look at their non-conference schedule. They played Rogers. They played Anthony Wayne. They played Central Catholic. They just beat St. Francis just yesterday. So, they're ready to roll. And you got Genoa. So, man, could you see a Liberty Center Genoa matchup? That'd be interesting.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to Division 5 Northwest 2. Taking a look at this bracket. Margaretta, Julian Washington, your number 1 seed. They'll get Oak Harbor Edison to open up the postseason. Ottawa Hills Bluffton, Green Bears get a home game to start off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they can knock off Bluffton. I'm all about Margaretta. We've been high on them all year long. Julian Washington, they've had an outstanding season. I look for Margaretta to get through.
Division 6 now, Northwest 2 district. You'll see Maumee Valley Country Day, the 1 seed. They'll open up against Woodmore.
Yes, at Maumee Valley, again, a team that Coach Fleming has gone out and he's tested his team in the non-conference. They've won a couple. They've gotten knocked down a little bit. They bounced back. Obviously, the TAC title, big for them. How about Maumee Valley Lincoln View?
Right.
Lincoln View, an outstanding team out of the Van Wert areas, had an outstanding season. So Maumee Valley Lincoln View, I'd like to go see that one.
So this is one of those instances where we have 2 1 seeds in the same district because coaches were allowed to kind of cross districts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the flexibility of that because sometimes when you look, where who the seeds are, but you look at maybe who they played, maybe the schedule isn't as strong as maybe some of the teams you prepared yourself against, and you feel that's a better matchup for you. I like the flexibility that coaches get with that, and sometimes you get those matchups. Now, I look forward to see those 2 1 seeds lock horns.
All right, staying in Division 6, Northwest number 3, Toledo Christian. They're the 6th seed, so they're going to have to go to Kansas, not the state of Kansas, Lakota High School in Kansas, Ohio.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. It's been a tough season for Toledo Christian, not one that we've accustomed to seeing them, kind of a rebuild for them, played a lot of young kids. Colonel Crawford, they're a juggernaut, but watch out for Patrick Henry. Mm-hmm. Again, one of those NWOAL teams that have had great years, so Colonel Crawford, Patrick Henry, we'll see if it pans out.
Finally, Division 7, Northwest number 4, Cardinal Stritch, a 4 seed for the Cardinals. They're going to take on Danbury, a team they're familiar with, programs they're familiar with. If they win that game, they move on to Clay to take on potentially the number 1 seed Monroeville.
Yeah, Cardinal Stritch, another one of those teams that has maybe exceeded expectations coming into this year. You got multiple guys that can score. They can go get it off the backboard as well. They've had a great season up to this point. If they match up with Monroeville, the number 1 seed, you never know what can happen in tournament time.
So much to break down with all these brackets. Just a small taste of what Rhett and I talked about. Head to BCSNNation.com for the full breakdown as the high school basketball postseason. It begins this week with the girls, some of the smaller divisions. And then as we talked about, Division 2 girls sectional finals essentially this week, this Thursday. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks.
Yes, it is. This is what you build towards over the last couple of months to have this tournament time moments. Things don't always go as scripted, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see where the hiccups come in tournament play.